Maid-sama is an insane anime. The jokes, the scenes, the dialogue spark a lot of controversy. But nothing sparks more controversy than the male lead of the show, Usui Takami. Early shoujo heartthrob Usui Takami from Maid-sama is a character who is so heavily debated on whether or not he is a good male lead or just a red flag. But some diehard fans of the series still believe and love Usui's character, and fight that he is actually a green flag. Usui is a character that is literally insane to unpack, but I think what disturbs me and leaves me the most confused as a viewer of the series is Usui's motivations in the series. So today, we're going to unpack all of his motivations and whether or not it can make him considered to be a green or red flag. Usui's motivations throughout all of Maid-sama are debated. Obviously, because this is a shoujo, we know his ultimate motivation is to be with Misaki and protect her when necessary. But outside of the main plot of the show, Maid-sama tackles the recurring notion of male and female roles. The show seems to take on the argument whether these roles ultimately matter, and this is where Usui's second main motivation comes in. Throughout many of the scenes in the show, Usui seemingly takes the side that it does matter Misaki is a girl, and that she should fit into her role, and him convincing Misaki of this is his second main motivation as a character. On the flip side, you could argue that Usui is trying to convince Misaki of this so that she doesn't have to push herself as hard as she does. In this argument, you could say that Usui is implying all these gender roles so that Misaki can rely on Usui more at the end of the day. At the beginning of the series, Misaki hates men, so it kind of makes sense that Usui's main point to her is that she should rely on men more and that they aren't all useless. But most of the time, Usui does this very ineffectively, with just leaving teasing comments pointing out that Misaki is a woman and that she can't do stuff because she's just a girl.
You're at ease because you're tough, but you should remember. You are still a girl after all.
We also see outside of characters such as Misaki, in characters like Aoi, we see that Usui still stands by his gender role beliefs. Aoi, who is a character that plays with gender expressions such as dressing up as a girl, is not liked well by Usui, because they do not think that Aoi's dressing up is very funny, and they think that they should be fitting into their designated gender roles.
Do you really know the meaning of the words you're saying, little girl?
But Aoi also berates Misaki for not being feminine enough and not fitting into her gender role enough. You think that they would come together because both of them are berated for not fitting into their roles enough, but this in fact is not what happens, and it makes me question what the true intentions of the story are trying to imply. I mention this because this also points out how the show always seems to make Usui be the one in the right. A couple times in the series, in both the anime and manga, it's frustrating to watch his character argue with Misaki. A lot of episodes do seem to follow the same format. Misaki undergoes a huge task, and she begins to work herself to the bone in trying to complete it. And then Usui comes along and just says, "You're just a girl, remember?" And then either he solves it just by himself or they both undertake the problem together. While it is nice to see somebody who works hard get help when they usually are used to being independent, it is very frustrating as a viewer seeing all of Misaki's hard work get belittled and just swept under the rug only for Usui to save her in the end. It's very confusing that Usui, who is obsessed with traditional roles, falls for Misaki, who goes against every bit of traditional gender roles. It makes you wonder why he likes Misaki in the first place. Because all of her great strengths as a character, such as her independence and her strength, are the exact things that Usui critiques. Both of the explanations I can think of why he might like Misaki are both shallow. Either he looks at her and thinks, "Oh, I can fix her because she is confused about whether gender roles matter and I'll prove to her that they do." Or it's just the main thing. But whether it's these cases or a combo of these cases, I genuinely cannot wrap my head around why Usui does like Misaki as a character. In addition to these roles, Usui also has another motivation to prove to Misaki and all the characters around him, which is way worse than the first one if you ask me. Usui throughout the series tries to express to Misaki that women and men need to be careful about how they present themselves because there are creeps in this world who might take advantage of them. Which is a fair thing to warn just by itself, But where I take problem with Usui's argument and motivations to convince everybody of this is that he victim blames the women and men who may dress provocatively or may dress in a way that might promote somebody to act inappropriately towards them under the belief that men genuinely cannot control themselves.
Did I say something wrong?
Wrong? If you're not careful, you're going to get ravaged!
What are you talking about? I'm a man!
That doesn't matter to Mr. Usui, trust me, I know!
The implications of this belief are absolutely sinister. An example of where he shows this belief is in the beach episode. A lot of people had a big problem with this scene in the beach episode where Usui prevented Misaki from working in a risque outfit, which later would prevent her from going from the hot springs with her friends. Now, to some people, this might be an attractive gesture, and some people love the scene, but a majority of people now think that this scene was a big red flag due to Usui's possessiveness. But possessiveness is kind of something that is in the eye of the beholder, so whether people consider this a green or red flag is really up to them. But even with male characters in the series, it's a joke that no one is safe from Usui, and that if you dress provocatively, something may happen to you. Which I would like to point out is really weird behavior. Not only does this mindset focus on victim blaming, but it also implies justification for men who can't control themselves. Not to mention, the viewers of Maid-sama are young, impressionable girls. Maid-sama fails the Can We Be Normal challenge in literally every single episode. Some character or some event is weird and just a little controversial. But this concept Usui brings up is usually used as a joke in the series, so it's hard to argue whether the show advocates for this mindset or against it. But again, Usui is usually shown to be in the right in most of these episodes. But other characters also think that Usui's freak is weird, but also these same characters that think Usui's freak is weird also become weird in the episode where they take their school trip and all of the guys lose it. That episode and the little sister episode needs to be taken to ethical court because no way did they show this to young impressionable viewers. Because of Usui's motivations that imply sexism and victim blaming, I personally would define him as a red flag, just focusing on his motivations alone. But that's just my opinion, and even though I think he looks like a dumb stack of fries, some people adore him regardless, either because of the nostalgia factor or because they genuinely enjoyed his character on the show. But just because you like a character does not mean they are automatically going to be a green flag. Now, I want to say for the superfans out there, I used to love Maid-sama, and I still have a small middle school soft part in my heart for it because it is an old shoujo show. It's like in the same way with Vampire Knight in that sometimes I rewatch it just so I can flunk on it and make fun of it. Maid-sama by itself is a crazy show, and to be honest, I've wanted to make a video on it for so long, but there are so many controversial things in each episode, I could not figure out what to make it on. But while I was watching this, I just kept thinking, what is Usui's motivations here? So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know whether you think Usui is a red or green flag in the series. Let me know. Bye!